Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Hello everyone. Today I'd like to start my speech with posing a question to you all. Have you ever thought of the power of cultural exchange and what a healing force that it can be? Well, today I'm here to discuss exactly that, to tell you the story of students from all around the world coming to this small town, this hub of cultural exchange. But I'm also here to tell you the story of polarization and how it can shatter any community, including this one, when people take on the extremes and remove the space for dialogue. But before we get into that, a bit about me and my journey to be on the stage here today to talk to you all. I still remember my first unofficial show and tell. I was 7 years old, going up to my friends during recess, toting the souvenirs I'd brought back from India. To a group of Iranian students, we were fascinated, discovering something new. That's how I was, always in love with discovering new cultures and places. And at that age, I used to wonder to myself if people around the world were as fascinated by Shiraz and Iran and what it had to offer as I was about Zanzibar, Prague, or New Delhi. I soon got a first answer to this question that I asked. At the age of 12, I moved to the United States of America, and I was greeted with a new perspective of my country. This perspective, however, was not fascination. Rather, ignorant questions, xenophobic thought, and at times, racist comments. I still feel the sting in my heart when I think of the white Americans in middle school asking me if Iran and Iraq were the same thing. If I rode a camel to school in the desert that is my country, or that if I was raised in a war-torn country. Even at the age of 15, 4 years after moving to the US, I got called a terrorist in the middle of an Algebra 2 class. And to be quite honest, I'm not sure what it had to do with logarithms and factoring that we were learning that day. Nonetheless, this left me unknowingly bitter. I couldn't understand why something so beautiful that I loved so deeply seemed as violent and disgusting to others. This closed me off. I didn't want to share my culture, its religion, its people the way I did before. Maybe if I'd spent more time surrounded by people who didn't understand me or my culture, my resentment would have grown. But thankfully, my timeline took a different turn, and I came here to Menton, France. Moving here changed my life. Menton was a breath of fresh air. I finally got a second answer to the question I'd asked all those years ago. People here were fascinated by my region. They'd ask questions about my experiences and appreciated it. It was talking to international students about the Iranian Revolution when they had no personal connection to it. It was meeting Middle Eastern students, my age, educated, bright, the leaders of tomorrow. It was meeting Americans who had seen the world and were here to get a better perspective on their education. This bursted the bubble I felt I had been trapped in, this bubble of American and even European exceptionalism that I had been living in since the age of 12. The traditions of our campus embody MENA culture and are rooted in the MENA culture. We have chants that praise a religion that is so often taboo in the West. We take on ignorant stereotypes and make satirical twists on them to take back our identity. Or so it felt to me. You see, these very traditions that made me feel at home and reconnected me to my culture were the source of polarization since the start of this year. This polarization is amongst MENA and Muslim students. While one MENA student may praise chants about their religion, another might feel appalled that a white French student is using Arabic slang or chanting about a religion they don't truly understand and are misrepresenting. In a community that I saw as so harmonious and unified, there was still division because of the difference in our experiences, our backgrounds, and yes, even our traumas. At the start of the year, I noticed that the MENA foundations of our campus were disappearing because of the fear of misrepresentation. At first, I felt isolated, as if I couldn't talk on the issue, as if I'd be canceled if I wanted to support these traditions, or that my experiences are not valuable enough for me to discuss this. But soon, I decided to hold my ground, and that I, as a MENA student, want to preserve what has made me feel at home. But you see, that was exactly the problem. We started to create rules for who's allowed to have an opinion and who's not, and whose is more valid or valuable. We started ignoring each other's experiences and acting as though there isn't two versions of one reality. We stopped fostering cultural discovery and exchange. And because of that, we failed to create dialogue. To create dialogue and to reduce polarization, we must create a safe space and give a voice to the community. We must accept that while some may feel uplifted and praised by a certain tradition, others may not, and we need to create that dialogue. Let's look at Menton, our own case study, for this. To ensure we have a healing exchange of culture, we need to have discussions about these traditions, whether new or outdated. We need to make sure we have a learning environment for all, no matter their origin, and remove this hostility. We need to break down any narratives of a them versus us, because no matter whether it's based on race, religion, ethnicity, nationality, because in such a small community, we need to find our allies. And in bigger communities, this becomes even more important. Lastly, and I'd argue most importantly to me, we need to face and fight our fears of ignorant individuals misrepresenting our traditions and cultures, and let that be the reason we shut down exchange and growth of culture. It is by inclusivity and discussion that individuals who have previously single-minded narratives of a region or culture can break down these ideas. It is by giving a space for everyone to feel like they can participate and be included that we can educate and grow the Montanese culture. I cannot properly describe to you the emotions I feel when my Norwegian roommate says yalla instead of let's go, when my American roommate says mashallah instead of that's amazing, and when my Estonian roommate makes mostokhiyar for Nowruz, the Persian New Year. No matter your culture, it's amazing to have it be celebrated, praised, and to have people join in with you. So, we take this case study, we take Menton, because no matter what community we end up in next, we want to make sure we foster an open and communicative culture. We need to let go of our ego and stubbornness and realize our experiences aren't invalidated because someone had a different one. We need to make sure that whatever table we sit at, intellectual and cultural curiosity thrives. So I'll leave you with this poem from Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi, a Persian poet. In compassion and grace, be like the sun. In concealing others' faults, be like the night. In generosity and helping others, be like a river. In modesty and humility, be like the earth. In tolerance, be like the sea. Either appear as you are or be as you appear. Thank you.